Hey, welcome back to the channel. I wanted to say thank you for all of your comments on the last video and your tips on how to solve this issue with the tail wheel. I do really appreciate it. I'm going to try some of those methods out, and I think getting more than one washer and a larger washer will probably have a big impact. So I will take care of that. And what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to actually work on the control stick. So I wanted to say, Michael, I know I saw that you made a comment that my spring was potentially aluminum. It's actually not aluminum, it's steel. I just cleaned it up, so it actually has the look of aluminum at the moment. So when I get it off here, I'm probably going to clean it up and prime it anyway, just to protect it until I get some paint on it. So yeah, so I'm going to get some things set up and in place to start working on some of these parts of the control stick. All right, so I've got everything set up for what I'm going to need here, except for, let me get my glue heater box out of the way. We're not going to need that. But we are going to need my sander, and we're going to need the saw over here, and then of course we're going to need the drill press, and I've got my raw materials right here and my drill bits and my other goods right here. So alright, so first thing I'm going to start with is actually an Airworthiness Directive for the Minimax, and that requires in the plan sheets. So in the plan sheet, this actually shows a single angle bracket here that is actually connecting the aileron yoke to the torque tube, and you don't want to do that. So there was a Airworthiness Directive that actually came out, and what you have to do is on Team's website. I'll put a link to it in the description so you can find this easily. But there's actually a drawing of how this has been modified. Actually, where there's two bolts here instead of just a single one right in the middle, and then there's two bolts here instead of a single one that there was previously. So that requires this angle here, and it's a 2x2 angle that you use to cut that out of. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a 2-inch wide piece of it, and then from that we will begin to modify it to fit what we got going on here. So I'll have to get this this measurement here. Basically, it's coming off a 3/8 radius to determine the thickness of this way, and then it's 9/16 to the first hole, and then an inch, and then it looks like another 3/8 radius off the top here, and that'll help us determine what size it is the other direction. So alright, so I'm going to get a 2-inch piece cut first, and we'll go from there. Alright. make a mark 9/16 of an inch up from the bottom. And then we draw a couple lines. And we need a center line. So we'll measure the center line here. We can run that up. And we are 5/8 of an inch off of that line, so off of the center line, 5/8 of an inch each direction. We'll start out there. All right, so now that I've got my 2-inch piece cut, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my my aileron yoke and my torque tube, and I'm going to put those together, and then I'm going to actually I'm going to clamp this piece on there, and I'm just going to get a center line drawn on the back side of here. So get that real quick. Alright, so I just want that as a visual reference. So now I'm going to set the bracket on top of the torque tube here. And I think before I go any further, I'm going to use the same technique I did before. I'm going to draw a center line down my torque tube. Alright, so just made a reference line. I'm going to grab a couple clamps. We're going to set this on here. We're going to line up our lines. Our center line and our center line, and then after that we're going to rotate this, our aileron yoke, so that it's square to the top of the my aileron yoke. I want the bracket to be square, so I'm just going to make a line here. I feel like I could use another hand here, actually. Okay, that's nice and square right there. I'm just going to clamp this in place real quick. that I've got that, let me check it one more time, make sure we're good. Yep, nice and square. And I'm going to get a more serious clamp. And I'm going to come in here and clamp it a little firmer. Which I did backwards. Let's try it the other way. Now I need to test it again. Alright. I actually want this to go this way. Alright, we fit nice on the torque tube. Everything looks good there, so I'm going to take that out. And now, I get my drill, and I'm going to start these two holes. So, alright, now we'll go to the drill those two out. So I feel a little bit like Winnie the Pooh right now. I'm just kind of going think. Two failures so far. Neither one of the methods that I tried worked out. So I've got to try it one more time and see if I can't get this worked out the way it should be. So I'm trying to think about how I'm going to accomplish this. So let me cut another 2-inch piece. Fortunately, I bought plenty, so I'll cut another 2-inch piece, and we'll give this another try. There's some other brackets that can be made out of these. They actually get cut out of the center of this, so if I need it, I may not. But let me go cut a piece, and then we'll see how we're going to do this. I really want to give you a surefire method here without screwing anything up. So, all right, so I just made a crosshair exactly where this needs to be, right here. I found the center up here, and I drew a line square to it this way, and then I squared up a line here using my tri-square this way. And I have a center line right here on top of my bracket, so I'll just center this up and square it to the other line. I believe this is the first step here to get this done. So, and then if I get this clamped in place, we're going to try that. All right, then I'm going to test my torque tube, make sure I can fit that nice. It's fitting nice against the bracket here on the side, so that's really good. There's no gap back here in this corner, so that's really good. And I've got it clamped in place square to the line. Gonna give it a little extra clamp. And what I've determined is the best way to accomplish this is to just drill these two holes by hand. So I don't have a good way to get into the drill press and keep things square anyway. So so I'm just going to take my drill and do the best I can working through this bracket square. We'll put a bolt in that real quick so it can't move on us. Do a double check. Thing's good. I'll drill the second. All right. All right, bolts fit nice. Torque tube fits perfect. And we're still on center line, and I'm happy. All right, so I cut this piece off basically where there's going to be a 3/8 inch radius here on either side, and so now I will just tidy up this edge, and then I'll round this radius on these two corners, and then this part will be done. Alright, so I got this bolted on, and now I just put the torque tube through, and I'm going to end up creating a new center line. Let's see here. Actually, I don't have to create a new center line. I just have to make sure this squares up with the existing center line. So to do that, I'll just take my square here, put it against the tube, and then square up the bracket, and I can see where my center line mark is here. See it right here. So this is where my center line is going to be. I already had a mark there, so all I did was line the two up. And now we'll use that line to lay out the next two holes, and then we'll figure out how we're going to be able to drill through. I'd love to drill both of them at the same time, so I'm going to see how possible that is. So let's check it out. So first things first, my center line. And first hole is 3/8 back, and then the next one is 1 inch away from that. So all right, so that's all the time I have tonight, and but we got a decent start on that, so we'll continue that the next time. I've got the bracket on. I was just making some marks. I've got my my punch marks for the 2 holes there, and so the next thing that we have to do is we will make our torque tube to the 9 3/4 inches. We will drill this 1/4 inch hole 1 1/4 inch from the one end. This hole gets drilled at assembly, and then we will go ahead and mark we'll have to put everything in the plane to figure out exactly where this goes, because it sits up against the bearing here. So we'll have the UHMW bearing, and there's a thrust collar that goes on the back side that'll get drilled inside the plane. So well, the main thing we can do is we can drill our 1/4 inch hole next in it, and then we can actually make our control stick. And I've already made the brackets and the bearings for the control stick, so once we get that, we'll be able to then put it in the plane, get it all assembled, and then mark and drill these 2 holes here, and then we can finish shaping this bracket after we do that. So yeah, thanks so much for hanging out with me. I do appreciate it, and hey, I'll catch you later.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.